I also wanted to give some time to Carlos Cuadras, who pulled off a 10-round unanimous decision over David Carmona in what amounted to kind of a tune-up fight, non-title fight. Carlos Cuadras, of course, is a top-rated contender for the WBC. He's actually the mandatory for the WBC belt that is now actually held by Cesar Ketsurong. Anyone's guess as to if they're going to mandate a rematch between Cesar Ket and Gonzalez, or if they'll mandate a rematch between Cesar Ket and Cuadras. Pretty interesting little trifecta we got going in of rivalry we got going in there. But here against Carmona, I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought he won pretty conclusively. I actually thought the judges had a little bit closer than was kind of the reality. It looks like the judges had it 96-94, one for Cuadras, and then two 97-93 scores for Cuadras as well. I thought that Cuadras won it pretty clearly, to be honest with you. Honestly, I'd say I gave Carmona 2 rounds of the fight. I could see giving him three. I think four is a little bit of a stretch, and honestly, I think the rounds that he won were due in part to a nice combination that Carmona actually landed below the belt against Cuadras. But Carmona's a rugged guy. I did mention, did I? I did. I'm pretty sure I mentioned in my preview here on YouTube, but I mentioned in my previews and some of the other places that you guys might hear from me, some of the other podcasts and such, that David Carmona is a very rugged fighter. He's a guy that gave Naoya Inoue a lot of problems when he fought him. That was the first and only fight where that Inoue actually went the full 12-round distance. That Carmona won about 3 rounds off of Inoue over that 12 rounds, so that's not too dissimilar here to what happened here against Cuadras. Albeit he did it in a bit of a different fashion than he did against Cuadras. Here against Cuadras, he seemed a little bit tentative, looking to try and time Cuadras with Cuadras' speed coming in, getting a little bit wild. I think Cuadras early on was looking to kind of try and style on Carmona, like try and get him out of there early. Catch him with his speed, catch him with something that he couldn't see coming. He did manage to stun him a little bit here and there. But once I think Carmona kind of adjusted to the hand speed and to some of the power of Cuadras, he was able to catch him a little bit here and there with some good shots. But to me, it felt like Carmona was being a little bit negative in a fashion where he was trying not to lose the fight as opposed to trying to win the fight. If you get kind of what I'm saying. I feel like basically he was kind of keeping himself viable and kind of generally out of danger, but not really putting his foot on the gas in order to give himself the best actual opportunity at winning the rounds and winning the fight overall. Did catch Cuadras with a few good shots here and there. A couple of nice left hooks to the body. You know, the very good left hook to the body that he has, that he caught Inoue with a number of times. But considering the fact that he fought Inoue up in close as much as he did, he was able to really press the action against Inoue and give him a lot of issues on the inside. I'm actually really surprised that he didn't press the issue against Cuadras. I'm wondering if maybe some of that hand speed might have intimidated him to a certain degree, and that maybe he was potentially wary of Cuadras hitting him with a shot that he didn't see coming. You know, one of those kind of speed kills type, snappy shots that can hurt you even if they're not necessarily the heaviest handed blow that they're actually hitting you with. It's the type of power that Cuadras has, that snappy, surprising type of power as opposed to that real thudding power. But to me, Cuadras had an okay performance. Wasn't necessarily anything that was lighting the world on fire, because he had a difficult opponent, a guy that's kind of difficult to necessarily be overly impressive against, a guy that's rugged, that's in there, that's a pretty solid boxer in his own right, pretty well experienced boxer as well. A guy that's rugged, has a good chin, has generally pretty solid boxing basis. A bit of a basic fighter in a certain manner, but is a guy that has a lot of fundamental technical skills down. So he's a guy that could definitely give anybody, I think, a difficult time in there, regardless of who you are, even if you're at the very top level. So one of these guys that we have him in every division. The guy that he's just difficult, just difficult to fight, regardless of what you're bringing to the table. He gave Inoue some issues in their fight, a pretty difficult fight. Gave Cuadras a fairly difficult one here, albeit I actually thought that Cuadras kind of sailed into the later rounds a little bit easier than Inoue did. I think maybe that might have been due to Inoue being a little bit over anxious and trying to really just take Carmona's head off the entire time, whereas Cuadras seemed to kind of start coasting as I got into the mid rounds when he realized that he wasn't catching Carmona cleanly enough to knock him out. he started, showboating a little bit and doing he did a little bit of a sumo stomp, switching southpaw, dancing around and stuff, shaking his ass, fooling around a little bit. But all in all, solid win for Cuadras over a solid opponent, top 10 opponent, ostensibly. There's a guy, tough former title challenger, and a guy that's definitely still should be ranked up in the higher ranks. A guy I think that could give anybody in the division a fairly difficult fight, even if he's not the type of guy that's really going to be winning these types of fights. But overall, Cuadras pretty much kept his position solid. Anyone's guess as to if he's actually going to get that rematch with Cesarquet, or if he's going to get the rematch with Gonzalez, or if he'll fight both Cesarquet and then Gonzalez, or Gonzalez and then Cesarquet, or who knows, maybe he'll get a shot at Naoya Inoue, and Gonzalez can have a run back at Cesarquet, or maybe he could have a big domestic fight with Juan Francisco Estrada, and that to me would be one of the best possible fights that could happen at 115 pounds. Estrada, however, I would love to see against Naoya Inoue. To me, if Naoya Inoue really wants to set himself apart from the pack at 115 pounds, if he was to go in there and beat Estrada, I think that would be a fantastic argument for him setting himself apart from the pack to a certain degree. Because I think that compare the Cuadras victory over Carmona and compare the Inoue victory over Carmona, they're about neck and neck, pretty even. So that to me that says that Inoue is about on even foot with Cuadras, who's about on even foot with Gonzalez, who's about on even foot with Cesarquet, just slightly above, and I put Cuadras just slightly above Cesarquet, in spite of the fact that Cesarquet now holds the WBC title that previously those two men held. And then Estrada, I'd say, is right in those ranks as well. So any mix and matching of any of those guys, I think, is an excellent fight. Perhaps Estrada could potentially get a fight with Calafai. Please, Eddie Hearn, have some confidence in your man. It's you don't gotta worry, you don't gotta be afraid. He's a grown man. Let him out to play with the best in the division. German Acas is out there, of course. So I mean, if Estrada and Cuadras were to nick the belts off of Acas and Yafai, we'd have an incredible elite amount of champions at the 115-pound division. Right now, some of the best guys at the weight class aren't necessarily the belt holders. Sometimes that happens in weight class though. But overall, solid win for Cuadras, even if it wasn't necessarily one that inspired like oohs and ahs and outright amazement. But got the job done, got the clear-cut victory, and you can't necessarily ask for much more over the man. So that's pretty much all I got to say on this one, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.